Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Zack Snyder has been posting a countdown the last several days to the Justice League Snyder Cut anniversary from 2021. It'll be the 5-year anniversary, so a lot of people are wondering what he's counting down to, what the special announcement is going to be. So we will break it all down, including all the special posts that he has done so far for his Justice League. As expected, Zack Snyder is a master of hype. People have so many questions about what this all means. Is he coming back, doing some sort of new DC project in James Gunn's DCU or some Elseworlds project? As you probably remember, he also released information storyboards for his Justice League 2 and Justice League 3. Originally, it was going to be a trilogy of Justice League films. Recently, you may have seen some of the interviews that he's been doing where he talked about coming back to do the stories of those Justice League 2, Justice League 3 movies in slightly different forms, but still coming back nonetheless. James Gunn has also talked himself about Zack Snyder coming back and doing more projects at DC in the future, and I know there's a lot of questions about the future of DC just in general underneath Warner Brothers and Paramount, the new regime of Paramount, because they're in the process of trying to buy the company right now, and it looks like it will succeed long term. But if you did not realize, we are coming up on the 5-year anniversary of the release of the Justice League Snyder Cut on HBO Max, the then brand new HBO Max. Warner Brothers then gave him like another $70, almost $90 million to finish edit for the Justice League Snyder Cut. There was a bunch of extra stuff that Zack Snyder did too, like his version of John Stewart Green Lantern with Wayne T. Carr. There were a couple posts that he made about that the last couple days too, that Warner Brothers would not let him add to his Justice League Snyder Cut, but he still filmed it nonetheless. During his first countdown post, he posted the old Wayne Mansion set as they were getting ready to film the scene where Bruce Wayne walks in with Diana and they talk about forming the Justice League, him fixing up the mansion, basically restoring everything, and it becoming the new version of the Hall of Justice in the DCEU under Zack Snyder's regime. In his post, he says, 8 days from now, we will mark the 5th anniversary of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Diana, line of dialogue, you said the age of heroes would never come again, and then Bruce says, and it will, it has to. 5 years later, and the Age of Heroes still feels very real.
Big round table. 6 chairs, right there.
But room for more.
Then in his next countdown post, he actually posted an old poster for the Snyder Cut, and it was meant to be a couple reels with his Justice League logo on it, amidst a bunch of rubble and a bunch of film reels, and it's meant to be a very meta kind of reference, which he also talks about in his caption, one of the most meta movie posters ever made. Sometimes the poster tells the whole story, and that is very true. What's going on here is that the reels themselves are meant to signify the actual physical reels that he had after filming his version of Justice League before he left, and when he left, he had a bunch of those reels in his garage in storage. They just sat there waiting for him to do something with them. While the studio hired Joss Whedon to come on, shoot a whole bunch of new footage, and release his version of the Whedon cut. Another interesting detail is that on all of his posts, he used audio from Junkie XL's soundtrack because Junkie XL did the soundtrack for the Snyder Cut, as well as Batman v Superman, a lot of his other films too, not just his DC films. And another meta post here too, like his next countdown post, is of Jason Momoa as Arthur Curry, Aquaman. During the filming, he says, for the prep for Justice League, shot on his iPhone. Now we know James Gunn is bringing Jason Momoa back as a version of Lobo inside the Supergirl movie and more DCU movies after that too. It's just the first place he's coming back is in the Supergirl movie. We just saw him on all the trailers. He made a very big deal about his history with the Lobo character, and he told the story of how Zack Snyder cast him as Aquaman when he thought he was being cast for Lobo until Zack Snyder told him what was really going on. Like, no, there is no Lobo in my universe. You're auditioning for Aquaman. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. He has said many times he loved playing the Aquaman character, but he always wanted to play Lobo, and now he's going to be doing that in the new Supergirl movie. And bringing it back around to Junkie XL. Junkie XL, big Zack Snyder collaborator, was doing the music for the new Supergirl movie, or at least some of the music. Another person came on to do more music too, so there's like 3 different composers that have been on the movie, so they'll all probably be like a little bit of their music throughout the film. Then in his next countdown post is a Henry Cavill Superman post from the very end of the movie where he's getting ready to rip his shirt and fly off where he's wearing the black costume. In his caption, he says, Henry Cavill and I on the set of Zack Snyder's Justice League. When the shirt opens, you know what comes next, and then you get the end of the movie before the actual post-credit scenes that he attached to it. This was basically meant to launch Henry Cavill into his version of Man of Steel 2, which Zack Snyder was working on a treatment for. He probably would have come back and directed eventually. There were a couple other directors, too, that also tried to do their version of Man of Steel 2. Famously, Henry Cavill had even signed a deal with the studio to come back and actually do it with the Black Adam movie. Like, it was part of him coming back for the Black Adam post-credit scene, is that he would do Man of Steel 2. And then obviously a whole other group at Warner Brothers had arranged for James Gunn to reboot the DCU. And the way that James Gunn explained it is that there was all this confusion because everybody went on a holiday break and all these decisions got made, but nobody on the different teams that were dealing with Henry Cavill's stuff and dealing with James Gunn's new contract were in communication because of the holiday break. So there were all these posts going out and it was all this confusion until they came back from break and figured it all out. Then another super big deep cut. In his next countdown post, it's him and Wayne T. Carr, his John Stewart, that was supposed to show up in a scene at the end of the post-credit scene that wound up being Martian Manhunter. Instead, it was going to be John Stewart in Kilowog showing up to warn Batman about Darkseid and the forces of apocalypse coming. So part of the idea is that he filmed this in his backyard, like literally Zack Snyder filming this green screen stuff in his backyard with Wayne T. Carr, and he prepared some special effects for it. Warner Brothers then found out about this and told him that he wasn't allowed to use the John Stewart Green Lantern character because Greg Berlanti's group inside Warner Brothers, the Arrowverse people, were developing a new Lanterns TV series that was going to be on HBO Max. That was like a completely different version of the Lantern show that you just saw the trailer for. Like, I literally just did a video for it. James Gunn's version of the Lantern series under his DCU is like a reboot of the Lantern series that Greg Berlanti's group was going to do, which is also why they prevented Zack Snyder from using his version of John Stewart Green Lantern. Now we have Aaron Pierre, John Stewart, and he just announced that he's going to be in the Man of Tomorrow Superman 2 movie, and probably confirming that he will be the version of Green Lantern on the new version of the Justice League in James Gunn's DCU. So it also kind of sounded like it was going to be that way in Zack Snyder's DCEU. This version of John Stewart, Wayne T. Carr's version, would have also joined this Justice League.
In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light.
In his caption, he says, Wayne T. Carr is John Stewart, a hero we plan to bring into the Justice League story. Some paths remain unseen, but the green glow is still out there. Basically, the way that we found out about this was Zack Snyder going to conventions, showing us the footage on his iPhone, because he's like, I can't post this online. Like, Warner Brothers will sue the hell out of me if I do it, but here it is on my iPhone, and then it slowly made its way online through different leakers. Then in his next countdown post, it's Darkseid in the flashback to 10,000 years ago when he finds the anti-life equation on Earth. And his caption reads, the great villain of the DC universe is Darkseid. Across all DC live-action films, his only appearance is in Zack Snyder's Justice League. That is so far, because they just announced in James Gunn's DCU, we're going to see a version of Darkseid in the Mr. Miracle TV show, the New Gods TV show that they're working on right now with Tom King. Then in his next post, it's actually kind of meta, he has Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman wearing Batman's gauntlets for some reason. Not clear what's going on here, why she's wearing the gauntlets, if it's just for fun, just like a behind-the-scenes image, or it was part of some other planned thing they were going to do, because technically, she's so powerful, she doesn't really need Batman's gauntlets. Like, the gauntlets themselves are less strong than her actual arms. Then in his next post, it's actually the Justice League flag amidst all the rubble here, which is meant to be meta like the film reels post, but it's meant to be the landscape after Darkseid has attacked, like the post-apocalyptic wasteland that you see at the end of the Snyder Cut. In his caption, it just reads, 4 days until the 5-year anniversary of Zack Snyder's Justice League, a film powered by the fans, faith, and a little hallelujah. Because the Snyder Cut actually happening was just like this series of so many circumstances all just happening at the right time in the right place. Any one thing could have gone wrong and it would not have been released. Then in his next post, there are a bunch of images from a lot of the different characters at different points in the movie, some from the ends of the movie and some from earlier in the film. And the caption reads, a moment of myth, each member of the Justice League facing the burden of responsibility with honor captured in the 1x4x3x1. They stand like figures in myth, looking towards what comes next. The aspect ratio reference is actually because he filmed Justice League in what you're seeing here, this square-looking aspect ratio, and it was only exhibited this way for test purposes in like one IMAX theater one time. When it came time to do the Justice League Snyder Cut for HBO Max, though, it's why he cut it in the proper aspect ratio, because he filmed it in that aspect ratio. Then in his most recent post, as of me posting this video, it says 3 days until the 5th anniversary of Zack Snyder's Justice League, Cyborg, Batman in the Batmobile, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and The Flash moving forward as one towards destiny. And this was obviously towards their final run to go attack Steppenwolf. The really big reminder is the actual anniversary is just a couple days away. It's March 18th, so there's still a couple more posts that he has to make to tease whatever is happening, whatever announcement he actually makes. So I will do another video for this if he does announce something really big. The way that Zack Snyder talked about continuing his Justice League story was mostly in a comic book or animated form, because I think it would be harder to actually do it as live action, just justify the money it would take to actually film two giant Justice League movies that weren't part of the main continuity of James Gunn's DCU Justice League films. There are also a number of live-action movie projects that Zack Snyder could also do, like an absolute Batman Elseworlds series, or even an animated movie. He's also done a couple of Netflix animated projects too already, so like Zack Snyder has already done some animation, like really hardcore animation. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below and let me know if Zack Snyder were to come back and do something new at DC, what kind of project you want to see him do, or you'd be happy with a comic book version of his Justice League 2 and Justice League 3, or you want to see more live-action movies from him. Whatever he winds up announcing, I will do a video for it later this week. There's a bunch of stuff happening too. We also have Invincible episodes starting, Daredevil Born Again episodes starting after that, and then The Boys Season 5 starting after that. So we'll be eating good for the next couple of months. There'll be a bunch of big DC stuff happening in between that too. Everybody click here to learn about what's going to happen with James Gunn in the future of DC in this new Paramount Warner Brothers regime. I just did a big video about that. And click here for the much bigger Lanterns trailer video that I just did. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.